You're about to watch a portion of an episode from the television series The Prisoner, shown in 1967-68, primarily in Great Britain. And this was the first episode called The Arrival. Let's join number 6, Patrick McGoohan, as he makes his first attempt to escape the village. We're now in the control center where they know everything.
Contact imminent. Contact imminent. Number 6, heading for outer zone in our vehicle. Orange alert.
Okay, the big balloon thing is called Rover, and Rover is kind of like the police force on the village, the muscle that will physically stop anybody who's out of line or attempts to escape.
Orange alert, all units.
Now that's supposed to be an ambulance, and he's going to be taken to the hospital, and that is going to be the subject of this video. Number 6 visits the hospital.
How are you feeling, son? You've had a nasty experience.
Where am I?
You're in the hospital, son. Now,
Okay, so let's talk about number 6 being in the hospital. And I hope you'll follow me on this. It'll take a little while. But number 6 represents the creation of man. Man created on the 6th day. And so man is going to the hospital. And oh my. Now, what happens to Patrick McGoohan? What is his diagnosis when he comes to the hospital? Well, he had goo on his face. The weather balloon got him, Rover. So what is Patrick McGoohan's diagnosis? Well, they can put any kind of diagnosis they want on Patrick McGoohan because he's in their hospital. So what are they going to do to Patrick McGoohan? What kind of treatments are they going to give? Well, let's just see here, and we'll continue on with this line of thinking, but I want you to watch a little more of this.
mustn't exert yourself. I'll just tell the doctor that you're awake.
Let's get the doctor in.
What are you doing here? And you? I don't know. Can't remember much.
That's a good question to ask. What are you doing here in the hospital? Why is it that you're here in the hospital? Well, let's pick back up on that line of thought I had previously. What's the third thing? Treatments that are prescribed, that are mandated, that are standardized in the village hospital where Patrick McGoohan is. Now remember, he's number 6. He's man, symbolic of me and you and anybody that's going to the hospital in the village. So they have this treatment plan for Patrick McGoohan. Now you know Patrick McGoohan, he doesn't always cooperate. In fact, I know of some people that are in tears because they cooperated. And unfortunately, the people that I know of died. Patrick McGoohan won't die because he's not going to be he's going to get out and live. Well, let's get back to the hospital. He's talking to Cobb, and Cobb is another secret agent.
3, 4 weeks, months. It's difficult to work out. What happened to you? What are they doing? Keep asking me questions. They want to know all about me. You told them? No. I don't know. I'm so tired, I must sleep. This is important. Who brought you here? How'd you get here? Who brought you? I was in Germany. I'm going back to my hotel.
Okay, so Cobb's got some explaining to do. And that's kind of the whole idea of the village hospital. There needs to be some explanations. How can it be that these people are just in that bed, not moving, not breathing on their own, and just sort of being administered the treatment of the hospital in the village in this episode here of Patrick McGoohan called The Prisoner. Remember, the title of the channel is Village Prisoner Set Free. But when you're in the village, in a way, in the village, you get doomed because of what is done in the village by, and I'll use the term village people, who are completely in charge. And it puts people in a state of shock. Like you can see, Patrick McGoohan is in a state of shock. And even his friend Cobb there is in a state of shock. And they kind of know that the whole village thing is a manipulation. Let's get back and hear what Cobb is saying to
I went
McGoohan.
into the bedroom. I think I went to bed. I was here.
What are you doing out of bed? You should be resting.
There's nothing the matter with me.
Perhaps not. But I'd just like a checkup to make sure.
I'm all right. I want to leave.
Let me be the judge of that. The after effects can be quite unpleasant. I'd like to put my mind at rest. Please.
Sure, it's all about his mind being at rest, right? Look at that little snicker on his face. Yeah, let's just appease this one. Appease this one. Never mind this one. But let's put his mind at rest. So let's take a look at how his mind is put at rest. And you know, the kinds of things that this show brings up, I never thought that I would see such things on television. And it does make you question. It does make you ask why. Why is all this happening? Why? And the whys are usually right in front of you if you just think about the whys. But you have to go to W, X, Y, and then Z, W, X, Y, Z. Now, how much is given? Thousands per individual.
What if I don't?
It's for your own good. I advise you to.
Very well.
There's nothing to worry about. The tests are quite routine.
Okay, now remember, don't get too curious. Don't ask questions. That's one of the mottos in the village. And to keep your mouth shut's another motto in the labor exchange. Those signs that are up, I'll have to do another video on those signs. But he's curious. And I'm curious too about something, and I'm sort of like Patrick McGoohan. And that's what the problem is with me, because it causes problems. It makes me unlike most folk around me. So I was curious about something like McGoohan. And it does cause you to ask some questions about, like, what about yourself? If Patrick McGoohan sees these kinds of things. And let's take a look at what he sees. It's kind of interesting.
Group therapy counteracts obsessional guilt complexes producing neurosis.
Okay, how do you like the group therapy? How do you like this patient who was in for treatment? This show has so much revelation in it that I decided to dedicate the channel to it. Now, I'll put some other videos on the channel other than these ones. But for right now, I want to just stay with this show because it's just got so much in it. And basically, it was filmed 1966. So is that how you want to come out?
There we are. Sit down.
If I agree to this?
My dear fellow, if you're fit, there's no reason to keep you here. Of course, if you have a relapse, you may have to come back. Slippers.
My size.
Naturally.
Naturally.
Just relax. Just listen to the old ticker.
Excuse me.
No, he's having his medical. No, of course not.
Now the medical is over the entire system. It's under, of course, the command center there, the control center. So the medical is not really independent of the command center, which means that Patrick McGoohan needs to be careful. If he's going to go to the hospital again, maybe he won't go. Actually, I do believe he does go in another episode. But anyhow, so what does that really mean for you and me? What can we learn from Patrick McGoohan? Well, basically, Be studious. Don't be afraid to study. Don't be afraid to do your homework. Now, why all this fuss of what I'm, how I'm sort of mumbling here in this video? Well, I don't like M&Ms. M&Ms are no good if you get too much sugar in you. But you got to know about the NWO. And it's getting hold. And let's just see how it got hold here just by using technology and how quickly the doctor says he's okay now. It's not really the doctor. Supposedly it's the machinery.
No, of course I don't mind. One has to make sure of these things.
Everything's machines now. In fact, people are beginning to question this whole idea of a virtual doctor visit. People weren't questioning it before, but they're starting to question it now and say, how can the doctor really know about my sore knee by doing a phone call or by looking at me with a camera? So right now there's a lot of people beginning to say, wait a minute, something is really wrong with the use of this technology to somehow control and diagnose people. That's an old-fashioned computer card. For those of you who are not aware of the history of computers and how computers developed, but those cards were the way and the manner in which you communicated with the system, and the system sometimes communicates with you. So what's kind of the final wrap up here? Well, just learn from Patrick McGoohan. Be careful if Rover forces you to go to the hospital. And it was Rover.
There you are. Everything's in order. You're absolutely fit.
So,
I told you, you're free to go in the morning. We'll fix you up with some new clothes.
about my old ones.
Maybe.
Okay, now that's kind of symbolic. New clothing. What about his old ones? The clothing he wore when he was brought there? That's symbolic of brainwashing. That's symbolic of tearing down the old person and building a new person. It's essentially what drill instructors do in the Marine Corps. They do what they call re-socialization. They tear everything down and then they rebuild it the way they want it. So the old clothes are gone. Now you're under the system completely, Patrick McGoohan, or number 6. Goodbye, you're healthy. Get out of here.
Ben,
Why?
I'll take you to your ward.
He's coming along nicely. What happened?
Coming along nicely. Well, we'll leave it there. You can see the treatment plan. You can see the treatment plan for that gentleman, and he was coming along nicely. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and blessings to you, and I'd like to thank you for watching, and an extra thank you if you got to the end of my video. End of video.